Hey guys, what's going on? Getting back on Copy Not the TV here. I'm going to be talking about the Italian national team, 28 players called up by Gennaro Gattuso for the upcoming World Cup qualifier against Northern Ireland this coming Thursday. I want to say it's 26th. Yeah, it's coming Thursday the 26th. A lot on the line, people. A lot of people out there want to see us fail too. So we've got to keep the positivity and support the boys. Um, I saw some comments from Daniele De Rossi in the Italian media and how he has already seen so much negativity on the squad that Gattuso, has called up. And, I'm sure there's people that, in Italy that want to see him fail. Um, I'm sure there's people outside of Italy that want to see them fail so that they can make their content and and laugh. I know that living in America over here, that these people are probably chopping at the bit. These media companies to post that Italy didn't qualify, even though even though you know no offense, but the UEFA is probably the toughest confederation of them all to qualify from. But I'm not making no excuses. So, guys, I think we really just need to be positive, send well wishes to the team, and let them know that we care for them. There's no pressure on them, and just go out there and play. That's it. Go out there and play Italian football, and bring us back to where we belong in the World Cup. And I hope they could. I think this team, this damage over this past couple cycles that has really screwed up with their mentality, and it's so important that Italy makes it to the World Cup for so many reasons. I mean, if Italy doesn't make it to the World Cup, I mean, I think that would be so damaging to Italian football. I mean, when you think about it, the last time Italy was in a World Cup was in 2014. 2014, Brazil, 2014, and they didn't make it out of the group stage. They didn't make it out of the group stage in 2010 either, and in 2006 they won the World Cup. So, I mean, there's kids that are 12 years old that never saw Italy, playing a World Cup. I mean, that's how you. That's another way that you develop champions. That the kids in the country, they got to see world champions and be like, wow, I want to be like that guy. I want to be like you know Andrea Pirlo. I want to be like Gianluigi Buffon. I want to be like Francesco Totti. I want to be like Gianluca Zambrotta. I want to be like Fabio Grosso. I want to be like you know Alessandro Nesta, Marco Materazzi. These guys like this, Paolo Maldini. Like how are these young kids gonna have something to look up to when they're growing up in Italy or abroad? You know how I feel about that. I feel the national team should look abroad as well for Italian talent. I've gone over this many times. Um, how are these kids supposed to look up and be like, wow, I want to play for the Italian national team. I want to put on that blue jersey. I want to wear that jersey with 4 World Cup stars. And they haven't even made it to a World Cup since 2014. And they haven't done nothing in a World Cup since 2006. 20 years. So that's why this game next week against Northern Ireland is really it's really a big game, but we have to, send messages, let those guys know that, we're with them and that, we're gonna, no, not, we're gonna support them and we're not gonna crucify them. And I think they have the tools with this squad to get the job done. Not gonna be easy, but they got the tools to get the job done. And I'm gonna go over this squad in a couple minutes. Um, if you watch my videos that I did regarding the Northern Ireland team, I broke down all three of the teams that Italy can play or could play: Northern Ireland, Wales, and Bosnia. I broke them all down. Italy, by a mile, has more talented players by a mile. But we know that doesn't win soccer games. Putting the ball in the net, that's what wins soccer games. The value of the Italian national team, it's almost 900 million. And I think, the Wales and the Bosnia, I think they're all under 100 million or a little above, maybe one of them is a little above 100 million euros. So the Italian national team is a far more, has far more better players. It's one of the most expensive national teams in the world. Obviously England has the most expensive one. I think that's, because, how much, players, English, these players they play in the Premier League, I think they got to pay more, you know, pay these players more or something like that because there's some tax over there. But, Italy's like 850 million value squad. And I think the highest one is like England or Brazil, like 1 billion or something like that, some change. So, it's not going to be easy. I've always told you guys that the Italian national team is and has been. It's more of a technical, strategic team with very high level technical players and very clever, systematic, very system orientated. They're not like a big like I told you guys like the hard games that I've seen Italy play that they've struggled in are in games where I'll go back to FIFA World Cup 2006 when Italy played USA over there. It was like a bloodbath because that's what USA was looking to play. They were looking to play this hyper aggressive game. Any chance they could get to hit Italian players, to knock out the rhythm, and to make the game a crapshoot. And they did. They got a draw, and that's what I expect from this Northern Ireland team. They're gonna. I'm sure they've watched the Italy games. That they had problems. Italy's had problems. Scoring against all the teams in their group. These teams they play. Like a low defense, and it's hard for Italy, to score. But I think with the selections that Gattuso has made, that we have some weapons that could be the difference. We have guys like DeMarco and Palestra and these guys on the wings that could do nice crosses in, and maybe an Esposito could get a header on the ball, or Keane and Gattuso, they're a freaking handful themselves. Like Keane is, he's a handful, and Gattuso, he's playing in Saudi Arabia, but he's really working hard, that guy. So let's go through it. Let me share my screen over here. All right. Here we go. So this is right on the Italian national team page over here. So we have the Italian national team over here. This is straight from the Italian national team, the Italian national team website, figc.it. The World Cup mission: 20 players called up for the playoff. Changes including Palestra making his debut and Chiesa is back in the squad. Just some pictures over here of Locatelli, Ricci, Bastoni, and DeMarco. Palestra, I like this player a lot. So we'll see if he's going to get the start. I wouldn't be shocked if he does. Um, I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't because it's he's not been on this team, and but we'll see, we'll see. So going through the squad list over here, we got Donnarumma. I expect him to start. We got Marco Canosecchi from Atalanta. We got Ilya Caprile from Cagliari, and we got Alex Maret. I hear some content creators. They got a big problem with the four goalkeepers, but I was thinking about it, and I know it's highly unlikely that three goalkeepers will get injured, but I know that a lot of Italians are superstitious, and I know that there's some other national teams out there that carry four goalkeepers. But hear me out on this. Hear me out. All right, I'm not saying that four goalkeepers is the way to go, but hear me out. I mean, let's say that you're playing two teams. You're playing Northern Ireland, and you're gonna play Bosnia or Wales. So let's just say I don't know what's gonna happen with Bosnia and Wales, but let's just say that you know if Italy gets by Northern Ireland, they play Wales. I mean, those are two similar profile teams and very physical. Something that doesn't lend to our favor. How do we know that Northern Ireland, this game with Northern Ireland, that early in the game versus Italy, they could have a corner kick, and this guy's go jumping up, and they knock, they headbutt some, John Donnarumma or something like that, or the guy gets injured early in the game. So right off the bat, say the guy got injured, immediately, um, then you'd be down to your second string goalie, and legit, you're one knock from your second string goalie from being on your third string goalie. And if you don't have four goalies, that could be an issue. So I actually could understand why there's four goalies. You're potentially playing two very physical teams, and you just don't know. I mean, this games they could go to penalty kicks, and if we don't have a goalie and we have to put a field player on, I mean, it's almost certain a loss. So I'm not totally against this four goalies here. So I don't know if I would have picked Alex Meret because he hasn't really been playing for Napoli. But Milinkovic Savic has been playing. And he played the game against Cagliari. So those are the goalies. So moving on, the defenders. I mean, it's the usual suspects. Bastoni. I wasn't expecting Buongiorno because he's been in crap form this year. Calafiori. I mean, maybe it's just a new world of football, but Calafiori. I mean, looking at all these players over here, Carnesecchi starts, Donnarumma starts, Caprile starts, Meret doesn't start for Napoli as often as that he used to. So moving on to defenders, you got Bastoni, he starts. Buongiorno, I guess he starts. Calafiori, I mean, I guess I don't really follow the Premier League, but he hasn't really been playing that much for Arsenal. So I've been seeing some transfer information, that he wants to leave or something like that. Cambiaso, he plays for Juventus. Coppola, I guess he plays in the Premier League. I don't know why it says Paris FC here. Let me see. Hold on a second. I'm going to look that up. Yeah, so this guy, I guess this guy Diego Coppola, he plays for Brighton, but he's on a loan to Paris FC in the French league. So I don't even think Paris FC is in the League One. Is Paris FC in League One? Oh, I guess they're I guess they are. Anyways, so they got this guy Diego Coppola. I really don't know much about him. The Marco from Inter, Gatti. I mean, he hasn't been playing much for Juventus. I know he played against Galatasaray, and he did a really good job. Mancini plays for Roma. And again, we have Marco Palestra, he's a new guy. Scalvini, he plays for Atalanta, and Spinazzola. I gotta say, I really like the addition of Spinazzola. I think Scalvini, I mean, he should be in the squad. Same with Palestra. I understand why Mancini and Gatti are put in the team. I remember watching Mancini play against Ecuador in New Jersey, and I thought he did a pretty good game. And I was high on him at the time, but in the recent game versus Norway, I think he got his ass kicked, and I kind of lost my confidence in him. But if he's having a hard time, I mean, Norway obviously is no slouch, right? But they're not, a World Cup winner yet. Maybe they will be this summer, but he kind of turned me off a little bit this when they played, Norway. But I understand why there's Gatti and Mancini because, like I said, we're going to be playing Northern Ireland, and we're going to need some brutes on that team. We're going to need some guys like Gatti and Mancini that they're not going to take no shit from anybody. So, yeah, that's why they have them there. I'm sure Mancini or Gatti will probably they'll get some time because I think players like Bastoni and Calafiori on the back line they're not like an enforcer type defender. They're more of a finesse, passing, dribbling, you know, very technical, player, and they just happen to be playing defense. But these guys like Gatti and Mancini, they're more of like they'll get right in your face and tell you to, where to go. So those are the defenders. Moving on over here, we have the midfielders: Barella, Cristante, Davide Fratesi, Locatelli, Pisilli, and Tonali. So, obviously I'm happy with Pisilli starting for Roma, and Tonali, playing for Newcastle. Locatelli, I was not a big fan of Locatelli, but, I haven't been a big fan of Locatelli since the Euros when they won. But I got to say, the guy, he's been playing hard and good this year for Juventus. So I think that the guys deserve the spot to play the number 6 for Italy, Manuel Locatelli. Fratesi, I mean, the guy is content staying at Inter, on the bench. Sometimes he plays, sometimes he doesn't. I mean, listen, this is the Italian national team, man. We won 4 World Cups. Like, I'm not interested in players that don't play regularly for the team, playing for the, starting for the Italian national team. Brian Cristante, I'm not a big fan. I just ain't. So, Barella, I mean, he hasn't been having a good, that great of a year, but Barella's my boy. I got a soft place in my heart for the guy, I hope I see him in Toronto. Last year, I told him when I saw him in UCLA that I'm looking forward to seeing him next summer. So for the midfielders, I fully expect Locatelli, Barella, and Tonali for the defense to start, and for the defenders, I got to go with Calafiori, um, Bastoni, and probably Mancini to start. So, and then on the wings, I mean, it's probably going to be Cambiaso and DeMarco, but listen, I know it's tough, man. I know it's tough, and everybody will have their shit to say if Gattuso makes a change and makes a new change. Like say he starts Palestra, right, and the guy screws up. Well, then they're gonna go, why did you start this guy? He never played on this team, and now you're starting him. Yada yada yada. But I would like to see Palestra start, and or if not, put in Cambiaso and see how he does. Then get Palestra in there. I love the dude. He's your typical Italian footballer. That guy. So now moving on to the forwards. We have Chiesa. I mean, again, he's not starting for Liverpool. Probably because their coach is a moron. But anyways, and he has he definitely has some kind of vendetta against Italians. It seems. Esposito, I mean, he's been having a good season, but he's not, like a consistent regular for Inter. Keane, not too bad. Matteo Politano for Napoli, and Raspadori for Atalanta, Retegui, and Gianluca Scamacca. I heard Scamacca got injured. I don't know if he's going to be in there, but I mean, I expect, I expect a 3-5-2 formation, and I would say that Keane and probably Retegui are going to start. But I mean, I truly think that we have some firepower here. I mean, we could get Esposito in there, to do some headers or something like that from crosses, as I mentioned earlier. Matteo Politano, he's another burst of energy. The guy could dribble his man. Raspadori, he adds something a little different. So, we have Chiesa. I don't expect him to start. I mean, Chiesa, I'm happy to see that he's back. He's a player that, he could take you on. I'm sure, playing in the Premier League, for whatever he's done. I mean, I'm sure his coaches are pushing him for that kind of, attack. That's how they play in the Premier League. So, I don't have too much of a problem with the forwards and stuff like that. Excuse me. So yeah, I know there's some people they're not happy with this lineup over here. Like, I have some followers that they wanted to see this Coyote guy. I'm not sure why he didn't get picked to the team. From what I hear, he's probably been one of the best in the Premier League in his position, but he didn't get picked. I know there's some other people, on the Bernardeschi and the Zaniolo and the Orsolini, but then I heard some other people talking about it, and it's like, well, I mean, these guys like Bernardeschi. I mean, no offense to Bernardeschi, but I kind of feel like the guy, he went to Toronto and he came back. I mean, I would say that he has a better chance of would have had a better chance of making this team if he stayed in Italy. But he went to Toronto, and I think that it impacted his career. But who knows? We'll see. If we can get by this games and get into the World Cup, and he has a good end of the season, maybe he gets called up. But so I don't know if Scamacca's playing, but if not, I'm sure they will call somebody else up. Maybe it'll be Zaniolo. Maybe it'll be Orsolini. I don't know. So anyways, with that said, I just I think this is a pretty solid team. I mean, if you look at all the teams these guys play for, everybody likes to shit on Italy and this and that. But if you look at all the teams these guys play for, I mean, Atalanta, Manchester City, Napoli, Inter, Napoli, Juventus, Roma, Napoli, Inter, Roma, Newcastle, Liverpool, Inter, Fiorentina, Napoli, Atalanta. I mean, these guys are all playing, for top teams that play in the Champions League. Um, so, you know, I think they got the tools here to get the job done, but they just got to stay cool, and we need to get a goal early, um, and we need to go from there. They're playing this Northern Ireland team. They finished third behind Germany and Slovakia. Um, we haven't lost these guys since 1958. Wow. 1958 in Belfast, which stopped the Zuri from qualifying for the World Cup. The most recent encounter, also in Belfast, ended 0-0 in the final. Yeah, I told you guys about this. If you look at my video that I made about Northern Ireland, we played Northern Ireland in the World Cup 2022 qualifiers, and we needed to win that last game. We ended up tying them 0-0, which sent us to the playoffs against North Macedonia. They're playing the game in Bergamo's Atalanta Stadium. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I just hope that Gattuso, he says to these guys, to be calm, and I don't want to see any stupid red cards or yellow cards that's going to ruin the whole game. So yeah, that's the team. So that's what's going on, guys. That's the team that Gattuso picked, and I know some people they're not happy with that team. I mean, I wouldn't say they're not happy with the team, but maybe they wanted somebody else. But that's the team, and we got to support him, and let's see what happens. And I know there's a lot of people looking for us to fail, so that their nations can rise up ahead. But we got to get this job done, man. There's too much on the line, and we can't pressure and talk negative about these guys, and we just got to go do it. From the start to the end, a full 90 minutes. Let me know what you guys think about this team, about what's going to happen, and make sure you guys subscribe and like us on our other platforms, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, see you. Have a good night.